I remember having moments where I cried on the stairs. I was like, Tom, you need to have a day off work, so I need to get my work done. And Tom's like, I can't just cancel my work for your business. And I was like, but it's too much.
I'm Martina, and welcome to Women Inspired Networking Conversations, the podcast. Now, if you're a woman in business who's ever been nervous about networking, felt intimidated about the salesy approach that most networking events have, then this is for you. This podcast is all about real conversations. No fluff, no pressure, just real conversations with other women in business who understand the journey. Welcome to the podcast. I hope you enjoy. Grab a coffee and let's chat. Hello, welcome back to the Women Inspired Networking Conversations podcast. I am Martina, and today I am here with the wonderful Emma from Start Strong Fitness CIC. Emma, huge welcome. Tell me about you.
So I own Start Strong Fitness CIC. I'm also a mum to two girls. Got Maya, who is 2 in June, and then I've got Millie, who is 5 weeks old on Monday. I'm a pre and postnatal specialist coach. I run grant-funded parent and baby exercise classes, and I set up the business when I was pregnant with Maya. But I've been a pre and postnatal specialist for 5 years, so way before Maya was even in our thoughts, to be honest.
Bless you. So that must have been really hard, being pregnant and setting up a business.
Before I was pregnant, I did pay-as-you-go classes. So how I started off was I was a personal trainer. So my story is that I came into the business because I had a lot of mental health when I was a teenager. So I had an eating disorder. I got told I probably wouldn't be able to have children. I wouldn't have a healthy relationship with food or exercise. I'm quite stubborn and I like to prove people wrong. So I was like, no, I'm not going to listen to the doctors. I'm not going to let them define me. And that's when I became a personal trainer. And then I decided to do pre and postnatal fitness. There's not really a space where parents can come work out and babies can play. So I did pay-as-you-go classes. This was just before COVID. COVID hit, and obviously the cost of living just went through the roof. Dads do come, but mums, a lot of the time, you put yourself on the back burner, let's be honest. You pay for things for your children, not really for yourself. So that's why I went down the CIC route. I wanted to be able to create a community where parents didn't have to pay, and that babies could come along, and then it was free of charge as well. Being pregnant when I launched, I got my first grant when I was actually pregnant with my first, with Maya. And yeah, it was an experience. Let's say that. It's hard work.
First of all, I think what you're doing is amazing. Like,
Thank you.
absolutely amazing. As like a mum of little ones, I had Winston just after we went into COVID. So we were in COVID in those times and we couldn't do anything. So we couldn't go out, we couldn't do classes, we couldn't do anything. And I think I really missed that. So I think what you're doing is amazing. The one thing that we need as mums is to get out of the house with our babies
Yeah.
and to do exercise and to feel good about ourselves. And you tick both of those boxes, and to offer it free as well. That's also another really big stumbling block. Like you say, people don't want to spend money on themselves, they spend money on the kids. Well, that kind
Yeah.
of takes that away.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest thing with my business, and you'll find that you do this as well, bringing Clemmy to your events, is Maya came to my classes from 6 weeks old. I remember my Ipswich class launched 2 weeks after I had Maya. I just had an emergency C-section, and I made my husband drive me up to the Ipswich class just so I could talk to my instructors, meet the parents. Because when you're a business owner, I think you want to be there, you want to be the face of the business, but you want to be present. And I remember rocking up, 2 weeks post C-section, I was like to my husband, you need to drive me there, obviously because I can't drive, just because my Colchester class launched when I was pregnant with Maya. My Ipswich class launched when I just had Maya, and then Maya came along to my classes from 6 weeks old because I didn't have the luxury of being able to go on maternity leave because my business was suddenly growing. So Maya literally was coming from 6 weeks old, and the parents understood because I was a mum myself. They were like, well, this is what it is like. It's nice to be able to juggle both, but it's stressful. I don't know how I'm not completely grey, to be honest, but yeah.
No, I totally get it. I find it really stressful with Clemmy. So Clemmy's been coming to the networking events since she was 10 days old. Again, absolutely crazy. I was just thinking, I'm going to say to her, she's crazy for going to that Ipswich event, not even being able to drive from having a C-section. But then I thought, hang on, I can't say anything because 10 days after I gave birth to Clemmy, I actually took her to a networking event. And I was tempted to say to my husband, Tom, can you drive me there? Because I can't physically drive. So I totally get it. As business owners, we are that person who is a control freak. We want to be involved in everything. We want to be the face of the business. We want to put all the effort in.
I think the mum guilt's hard when you're a business owner because it's like a juggling act. Being a parent and being an owner of a business, it's sometimes hard to mix because they do entwine quite a lot. The girls do have to come to things with me. I've been to a networking event with yours in Felixstowe and Maya came along. It's one of those things that sometimes if you got things on, the girls have to come along, or I juggle meetings around Maya's at nursery, Millie's needs feeding. Right, I need to get on this call. So it's quite hard sometimes juggling it all.
I totally agree about the mum guilt because that's kind of why we start a business though, right? So that we can be with our kids all the time and we can be that present mum. And then actually, I've got to take them everywhere and I'm not quite as present as what I actually thought. And then there's all this guilt involved. It's a really hard juggling act, not only physically, but I think emotionally as well.
I love showing the girls that actually, mum is really hard working. She's set it up so then I can be more present. I can offer them more things. We can, it's the opportunities to be able to go on holidays and things like that. But at the present time, when you're setting up and like, you want to delegate, but you are a bit of a control freak, but then you feel bad because then I always think, oh, Maya's got to come to my class because I've got to teach, but I'll do something with her in the afternoon because then it makes up for her coming to work. Even though she loved it, she was having the best time running around causing carnage and playing with the other babies. But in my head, how I was thinking is, well, she's at my work. I need to do something for her in the afternoon. And that's how I justify working. And I think sometimes it's hard to find like-minded people that think like that. Because a lot of people are like, oh, but you're a business owner. You've got all the time in the world. You don't even have to work. But actually, it's the adverse effect because you actually got to put a lot more hours in because I want to continue to grow. But you have the mum guilt as well. So it's like it's a whole juggling act.
I'm really the same with Clemmy. So I have her come to all the events and I go to probably 9 of them a month if I can. I have to take her with me because I don't have her in nursery yet. And I feel so bad. Everyone else there is saying, oh, it's amazing. She's seeing you build a business and she's interacting with all these people and she's becoming her own little person and she's getting all of this out of it. But I don't see it like that. I see it as I'm being a bad mum and I'm taking her to work. So I've recently decided that I'm going to have one day a week where it's a Clemmy day. And I don't do any work. I don't book in any calls. It's literally just a Clemmy day. And I guess like you, that's how I justify taking her to all the events. But actually, let's recognise our kids, both girls, are watching us build businesses and are watching us be strong and helping so many people with what we're doing. And our kids are watching us do that. That is just incredible.
Yeah, and I think that's trying to change your mindset to think actually when they're older, they're going to be like, well, I'm proud of my mum, and this is what I'm going to be a strong, independent woman. I can do I can do things because mum does it. You can be a businesswoman, you can be a mum, and they can combine together and you can do it. That's what I find that. And it's taken me, my CIC will be 3 years old in August. It's taken me 3 years to feel like that. Don't get me wrong, I have days where I feel guilty still, and my mindset's back to what we were just talking about. But I'm trying to shift that mindset into thinking, actually, I'm showing Maya and Millie, you can do this as well.
So going back, you obviously got pregnant with Millie
hmm
and your business was in full flow.
Yeah, I had my 38-week midwife appointment. I had a suite and I was looking around family hubs that afternoon still working. And I was like, oh, twinges in my tummy. I was like, but no, I need to get around the family hubs because we want to get them in there. So yeah, I think it was harder because I got pregnant. I got pregnant again and Maya was just turned 1. So it was having a 1-year-old, being pregnant and a business that was growing. It was a lot. And I messaged Gemma and I was like, I'm in labour. You need to take over now.
First of all, having a nearly 1-year-old and then thinking about having another, craziness.
Yeah,
And having a business on top of that.
Yeah, I think 2 under 2 and a business that's growing by the day, it has not been easy. I keep thinking of the parents that I support. I'm one of those at the moment, like I'm in the newborn trenches, but I'll have about 6 weeks off and then I'll go back into work mode. People think I'm crazy, but it's my happy place as well. I'm quite routine based and actually being away from my business, I miss it. I love being there. So once Millie's had her first lot of jabs, we'll be going back to classes and be like, hello. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing.
Thank God you got a VA in the meantime, though, right?
Exactly. Honestly, she's been amazing. So thinking back from when I had Maya and my business, it was still quite small. So I didn't actually really have anyone to oversee the overheads of it. Whereas this time around, I'm very lucky that I've got instructors and I've got someone who can look over it as well. So I can have that family time before going straight back into work mode.
Not a lot of family time though.
Not a lot of family time, but I think even if I had like 3 months off or a year, I'd be like, nah, I'm going back now. And I have my days where I have the girls, and I have Monday, Tuesdays where, like you were saying with Clemmy, they're my girl days. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, my work days.
So when you were pregnant with either of the girls, I know I had HG with Clemmy. I was sick as a dog. How did you find like your pregnancy symptoms and like working? Because that's the hardest part. I think you don't get maternity leave and you don't get any allowances. You don't know sick days. But how did you find that?
Hard because we're grant funded, the classes have to run. So in the early days when I didn't have instructors, like my culture class, I ran it exclusively myself. Ipswich and Stowmarket were covered, but I ran the culture class because that's like, I call it my OG class. And I remember having salt and vinegar crisps in the car because I was really sick in the first trimester. And it's an exercise class. The first trimester, you feel so exhausted and you have to do a full body workout and you're trying to cover it up because I don't want to tell the parents yet because obviously I wanted to have the scan, make sure everything's okay, especially with my past. I didn't know if I could have children. I don't want to say too early on. So that was hard and exhaustion. And then when you get into the third trimester, you're getting really tired, really sore, your brain fog, and trying to run a business. I'll be honest, my business is very much well-being. I think as a business owner, you put yourself on the back burner. You run on empty. I always say I'm pouring from an empty cup. And I think you run yourself into the ground, and sometimes you forget to put yourself first. And I found that in the pregnancy, I was running on empty a lot of the time, but I had to be sensible because obviously I was growing human. And it was easier once I said I was pregnant. If I had to have the odd time where I had to cancel class, they were very understanding. But when you're trying to cover it up for a while, it's quite hard.
So at what point did you get instructors work for you? Because then that, I guess, took the pressure off a little bit.
So I had maternity cover for my culture class when I was 32 weeks pregnant.
With Maya?
And then I literally ran the whole business on my own until I was 32 weeks pregnant. It was carnage. And then my business started growing. When you first start a business, you had to be careful. When I got instructors in, because I was thinking I need to pay my bills as well. It's a fine balance when it comes to business. And then my Ipswich class launched. So when I was 30 weeks pregnant, I was looking for an Ipswich instructor. And then she started literally when I was in labour. So I got everything sorted. And then I was going into labour. I was taking videos, hobbling around this thing, saying, this is where the equipment is. This is what you need to do. I was having meetings when I was very, very far along. And then, then she started when I was in labour with Maya. Originally, it was me. And then, as my business grew, I had more instructors. But 32 weeks and I was running the whole business myself until I had to have people step in.
It's interesting you say that. I had to have people step in. I think as business owners, we are very controlling and we want to do it all ourselves because we know we do it well. And I found that as well. Letting other leaders come in, it was really hard at the start to like trust those people with your business, with your brand, because that's your name.
I think I found hardest, I think it's the brand. If something goes wrong or a parent's unhappy or a customer's unhappy, it's your brand that's affected, not them. So that was the hardest thing it's like your baby and you want to pass it on. And you're giving that trust into someone else, and it was really hard. So I took a long time to find the right people to make sure that they were the right fit for my business. A lot of it is for the mental well-being side as well. So I needed to have someone who was the right fit. I quite like the instructors that are mums because they get it as well, just because of the people we work with.
Yeah, definitely. Talk to me about the newborn stage, because I know when you've just had a baby, that is the most precious time, I guess, with the baby, even though I hated the newborn stage, but also the most hard because they're the most demanding and you can't just like put them down and go and do a class or put them down and go and answer an email. So tell me about that kind of stage.
I think the newborn stage, I always find the hardest because I get really bad postnatal anxiety. I've had it with Maya. I've got it with Millie. Trying to be in work mode, being sleep deprived, trying to put your well-being first is really hard. You're trying, if you need to get to events or you need to get to meetings, you can't because they're not on a timer at the moment. Especially if you've got well-being issues yourself, it's very hard because you're trying to put your business first, but actually you're not doing okay. You're tired. I think with Millie, it's a little bit easier because I've done, it's not my first rodeo. cardio. But Maya, it was hard work and I knew I needed to get back in quickly. I remember having moments where I cried on the stairs. I was like, Tom, you need to have a day off work. So I need to get my work done. And Tom's like, I can't just cancel my work for your business. And I was like, but it's too much. And I had a class in Braintree then and I needed to get to Braintree. And I was like, I can't do it with the newborn.
Can we just talk about that for a minute? The boys, men. Why is it that the boys go to work, okay, and that's work, and we run a business or sometimes multiple businesses, and that has to come second? It's not a real job. I mean, this is a
Yeah.
podcast for another day, but I'm glad that I'm not the only one that experiences this.
It's hard. I understand he's one of the main breadwinners. You know, he needs to go to work. He hasn't got the luxury of being your own boss, I guess, with the employer. However, I feel like I'm juggling 10 plates. I'm juggling my business. I'm juggling emails. I'm trying to keep instructors happy, my clients happy. But then I need to get Maya to nursery. I need to get Maya to her play date. Then I got Millie. I need to food.
I feel like we have a 24-hour a day job that sits on the top, right? Which is parenthood, motherhood. And then we're
Yeah.
trying to like juggle these other things as well. So I always say to my husband, Tom, I was like, you go to work for 8 hours a day. Great. You come home, you can do what you like. You can go to the gym. You can come home and you can play with the kids. I'm like doing a 24-hour a day job. Plus, I'm trying to get your 8-hour a day job into those 24 hours as well as the 24-hour job. Like,
Yeah.
it's so hard. They just come down in the morning and they're like, bye. And you're like, I've got so much to do.
I've literally got a military mission. I've packed all the bags the night before, and then they wake up and there's a stressed mum there going, go, Maya, get on the changing mat. Right, we need to get you changed. Right, we need to get you breakfast. Right, come on, we need to go. And then they're like, see you later. I have said this before. I want to swap roles for the day. I want to go be an engineer because then I'm just thinking of one thing. It'd be lovely.
I swear they just leave the house, go chat to their friends, have a coffee, have lunch, and then come back.
And then the children it's like bath time and bedtime.
Okay, you tag in on the good parts and then have your evening to yourself. I'm still here struggling.
Yeah, and I think my husband always says, dads are for the fun, mums get things done.
It's bad. That shouldn't be that way.
I would love to be able to be the fun mum, but I am fun. But there is moments I'm a stress head because I am a control freak and I'm regimented with times.
I'm not the fun mum. I'm not the fun mum. No,
No,
definitely
I'm a
not.
stress mum all the time.
Okay, so what are your tips for anybody in business who is maybe starting out and pregnant or got a newborn? What's your tips to stay sane and to still grow your business?
Find your community of people that get it, that you can reach out and be like, "Mate, this is hard. How did you do this?" Because if I found my tribe that I've met now with I think I would have found it a lot easier. I think another thing is you're going to have bad days, you're going to have good days.
I would say be kind to yourself.
I saw this amazing quote, you're not average because not the average person would juggle parenthood and a business. And I think you can be the hardest on yourself, but actually you're doing amazing. Not many people can do a newborn or a baby and a business. So I think you have to be quite kind to yourself.
Also, like very controversial, but I think the easy way out is to go back to work because you get to leave the house on your own and you get to go have your own time and you get to come back. Whereas there is no break when you run a business and I'm a full-time parent. People say going back to work is hard. It's not as hard as staying at home and trying to build a business because it's all on you.
Yeah.
You're building a business. Like you said, you've got to pay the bills. Being able to leave the house for 8 hours a day, for a couple of days a week, and get paid for it regardless of what the outcome is. Brilliant. Excellent. If I don't sell any tickets, I do not get paid.
There's been many times where I'm like, the easy way out is actually I could just stop and go work in a gym. But think about why you set up your business because everyone's got a story. My story is from my past and my mental health and having postnatal anxiety. And I think one of the biggest things I'd say to mums, or if they've got a newborn or they're pregnant and they've got a business, is think about why you set up the business because there is moments where you want to give up. It'll be easier, like you said, working the 9 to 5 job, but think about why you set up the business. Why did you do it? What's your story? And when I think about why have I done it, who am I helping? That's what makes me get back up, dust myself down and know actually I can do this. I'm stronger than I think. Tomorrow, my business will still be there. One day makes no difference. And that's what I found as help nowadays, especially with Millie as well.
It's all about resilience, I think.
Yeah, I think it's not easy. My friends are like, you can have a holiday when you want, take time off when you want. It's great. It's easy. I'm like, it's not the easy route at all.
But don't get me wrong, that is why we do it. so that we can do the school pickup every day, so that we can have holidays when we want, so that we can do exactly what we want when we want. That is why we do it, but that's the trade-off, I guess.
I think it takes a while to get there as well. I think when you're starting off with your business, it's hard to get to that point. You need to build it to that point where you can then start to reap the benefits of why you set it up. At the beginning, it's quite hard.
Okay, so to finish, what are your final thoughts?
If you're listening and you're a mum and you're a business owner, you can do it. It's okay to not be okay. I think we're strong, resilient people. We're shaping the next generation and we can do it. And I always think back about my younger self, be proud of the person that they're standing in front of. And I think, yes, Emma, when she was younger, be super proud of her. And I think that's what I would like to say to people is we're strong, independent women, we're mums, and we've got this.
We have got this. Yes. Okay, right. Tell us where people can find you.
So people can find me. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Start Strong Fitness CIC. Our classes are in Colchester, Ipswich and Stowmarket.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day, and you'll have helped so many mums.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and I'll see you later.
I'll see you later. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for being here and listening with us today. If you're loving the podcast and want to find out more about our Women Inspired Network events, then find out more on www.womeninspirednetwork.com/events. Or you can connect with us on Facebook under Women Inspired Network, or follow along on Instagram under women_inspired_network. And of course, subscribe to this podcast so that you don't miss an episode. I'll see you next week for another honest conversation.